the interview, the object was to talk about your journey, your early start, the lessons you learn through the way, and where you find yourself now in order to have a clear view of who is Mona May.
It's always changing. Sounds good.
Okay, my first question is actually Clueless celebrated 30 years of being created, and you've just launched the book. How is the book tour going?
It's going so amazing. I'm exhilarated and exhausted at the same time.
Mhm.
It's been so wonderful. It's such a great response to the book, all the fans and so many different generation of the fans, the women that saw the movie when they were young, so they are in their 50s,
Mhm.
60s, and now the new generation of young fashionistas and film lovers like you, which is just wonderful. I'm going to different schools and doing master classes, a lot of book signings. Uh,
Mhm.
and my tour is continuing to Europe. I'm going to go to Berlin and London
Mhm.
and maybe Paris as well. I have a one booking in Paris. I'm super excited, to share this
I
love
bet.
of costume and my movie to so many people now, 30 years later. It's wonderful.
Yes. What do you hope that people will take from this book?
Well, I think it's a very creative book. I mean, it's more information that you can maybe know from the movie. Now everything is in one book, so you can really truly be with the characters more
Hmm.
intimately. You can find out about my journey as a costume designer, how I designed the clothes, how I was thinking about the clothes. There's a lot of fun um, secrets that I give away, and also very fun style guides, which are really cool for people to kind of maybe see how
Hmm.
you can dress like Cher now. It's just a very creative and fun book for people to really take it home and be with the characters, kind of in their own time, have a fun inspiration time. And when you see the movie, it's very fast and it's like, like think about this stuff. But here you can sit with a little cup of tea or a glass of wine and just have a really good time with everybody.
Hmm. Therefore, is it meant for both those who love the movie and the costume designer of tomorrow?
I think so. I think it's for fashionistas, as people who love the movie. It's for a really very wide range of lovers, of film and people who want to be inspired by the fashions. The fashions were very much 90s, but they also very timeless. You can look at the book and
Hmm.
still be inspired to wear something now, which is
Yeah.
very cool. I love that the movies, the costumes and the fashion in the movie really stand this test of time. This we say it in English, that it really has translated into now. I mean, 30 years later, people still think it's cool, which is wonderful.
Mhm. Why do you think that? Why do you think it's stuck with people, especially for this movie?
Well, I think the movie is just a really great movie. I think the movie was a great script, written by Amy Heckerling, directed by Amy Heckerling, who is a very, very prolific and fabulous and talented director. She cast this amazing cast of Alicia Silverstone, Paul Rudd. I mean, beautiful people, California, beautiful people, great actors. They really embodied the characters.
Yeah.
And Stacey Dash, it was a very innovative movie too for the time. You had a black girl as a white girl as best friends. Nobody dressed high fashion in high school, so it was all very new in the 90s when the movie came out. I think the costumes were such a strong part of it. It was part of the story. The director of photography, the way that he shot the film as well, it was like a fashion eye almost. He was looking at all the details. So
Hmm.
it was like such a great combination of this amazingly creative film. And I think when the movie came out, also everybody was ready. Women were ready to change from the very baggy clothes that everybody was wearing, grunge, into this very feminine, colorful clothes. And it was really fun. I mean, it's really quite interesting, I think, to uh, understand the 90s. When the movie came out, it was very different. When
Hmm.
when I was preparing the movie, everybody was wearing big baggy clothes. So I actually created this look from inspiration of the runways. I didn't really look at what's happening on the street at the time.
Yeah.
And I think when the movie, it was such a great timing, I think, when the movie came out.
Hmm. What about you? Like, For you now, if you were to define the role of a costume designer based on your experience, what would you say to define it?
Well, my role hasn't really changed. It's the same 30 years ago when I was doing Clueless, and it's the same now. We as costume designer, we are the storytellers. We tell story with the costumes and the looks, who the character is, where are they in their psychology, are they happy? Are they sad? Are they, sexy or kind of messy?
Mhm.
Everything, all the clothes are telling the story of every moment because when you see the screen of the movie, an actor comes out, they don't have to say a word, not a line. And with 10 seconds who they are by what they're wearing, right? You judge immediately. You know everything, every detail. Are they shopping at, Saks Fifth Avenue? Are they shopping at thrift stores? Are they happy? Are they sad? They depressed? All of that information is in the clothing. And that's why I love fashion. That's why I love costume design. I feel like there's just, so much of our personality and who we are. We express it in fashion.
Mhm. And
You know,
how are you able to mediate between your creative vision for a character and the creative vision of the director or the actor himself?
It's a great question. I think that we are there to support everybody. We come in as an artist, to collaborate with the director. So the director is the most important person in the equation because sometimes they write the script, sometimes they don't write the script, but it's their movie. So when I get the script and I, get the job, I meet with the director and I have to hear their story and how they feel emotionally about the character, how they see it, what's the color palette, what is the mood, what is the era, how do they see the era? Is it kind of very dark or kind of wants to be happy, and what's the arc of the character? So they give me that information, and then I take that information and I bring my own, thinking cap and creative cap and see, okay, how can I express this? Because some directors like Amy Heckling love fashion, no
Mhm.
fashion. Some directors don't know fashion, so I have to maybe bring them the ideas. Okay, A-line skirt or this, or they would shop there. So that's why we do a lot of visual presentations like boards. uh, I go to museums, I look at fashion magazines, I look at paintings,
Mhm.
photography, everything, really street fashion. And then I can really find this look maybe for the characters that the director is thinking. And then we sit again and with the ideas, they go, oh, I like kind of this. And maybe this one, she's later, this what happens, maybe something like this. So then I have more clues, then I can work more on it. And then when we kind of have an idea where the character is coming from, who they really are, color palette, then I can come to the actor. Then I have more of a reason to talk to the actor, present my director ideas. And then the actor can bring their own ideas. So it's a very kind of, it's a very collaborative step-by-step process. Nothing happens like bam. First we really
Mhm.
have to find a bigger picture of everything. And then we can come to the actor and go, okay, this is the idea for your character. The movie looks like this. This is the colors. What do you think? Because actors are a very important part of the movie.
Mhm.
They have their own ideas. So we talk. Then I maybe change the boards again. Maybe we add some different things, ideas from the actor. Then we go and meet with the director and the actor and me. And we go, okay, this is good. Yeah, she went to school there in New York, but then she moved to, you know, Italy, and then she kind of got more Italian look, whatever that is.
Mhm.
And after we have the idea more solid, everybody is happy. And for me, I have to be flexible.
Yes.
I have
We
to
think
have
that,
my ideas, of course, because if I didn't have my ideas, Clueless would not happen.
of course.
But the ideas have to be kind of accepted by everybody. I can
Mhm.
fight for some things, and sometimes I have to let go of some things and be happy because it's not. I'm not a painter at home and painting my painting. I'm not a
Yes.
seamstress making one a wedding dress for somebody. It's really, I'm not writing a book just by myself. It is a very different process in filmmaking. And I think it's very important to be open to other ideas because maybe sometimes they could be more interesting ideas,
Mhm.
Or
And
sometimes I fight and fight and fight too for some things, you know. So, and then after we do this kind of creative brainstorm, then we go and start either shopping or making clothes. And then we have another part that's very interesting, which is fittings.
mhm. And within the characters you have worked for, who would you say was the most challenging?
Well, I mean, I've done 70 movies, so there's a lot of different challenges. I think that each project is challenging in a different way. Clueless was very challenging because I didn't have a lot of money, I didn't have a lot of time, and I had to come up with something that didn't exist.
Hmm.
So I had to be a creator, kind of like a fashion designer. I had to go to the runway shows and bring from runways ideas of the girls dressing very high fashion. But then I had to take the ideas and put them into perspective of a 16-year-old in high school. So
Yes.
it's very youthful and very young and very relatable. That was a big challenge because it was very fast. And I had many, many people to dress. I mean, Alicia Silverstone alone had 63 changes.
Yes, I've
Was
heard.
unheard of. You had Stacey Dash, who played Dion, and the other character, about 45 costumes. Plus, I dressed every person in the movie, every extra that's in the classroom, in the quad, in the cafeteria. So everybody that you see, I created the look completely.
Hmm.
So that was pretty challenging. I think another challenging movie was Enchanted because it was working with very iconic characters. And how do you kind of approach these characters, very Disney characters, but give them a new life? And also, you have to build everything.
In Enchanted specifically, how did you change the designing process between the live action part and the animation part?
Well, in that case, you work with the illustrator, Disney illustrators. So they are animators and they create the animated characters, but they don't really understand costume. They also
Mhm.
don't have gravity. Everything is possible there. So
Yes.
I come in with my expertise and say, okay, this is the character. This is what's going to happen when they are in live action. This has to also work in animation, but also I have to make the costume in live action. More importantly, that the Amy Adams dress can work in Central Park, running around, or Times Square or whatever it is. For example, there was a character of the sidekick of the prince, which is like a bigger guy,
Hmm.
and we starting to draw, and they like putting little shorts, mini shorts, and I'm like, no, my actor is 250 pounds. I don't
Yes.
know how many kilo it is. He can be running around in like New York City in this little.
Yes.
So, my expertise is very important. Also, proportions are very challenging because you're going from animated characters, which like, you know, tiny waist of a princess with the big sleeves. Now I have to make that animated proportion in live action, and everything is being built and everything has to work. We have like the white dress, we have 11 of the dresses because it has to be a wet dress, it has to be a stunt dress, it has to be a short dress when she's into the manhole and pops up. So those are things very challenging. And what was very interesting too in that movie, when you look at the evil Queen Narissa,
Hmm.
she goes from 2D animation to live action to CGI dragon.
Yes.
So there's actually three different mediums that I'm working with, so that's another challenge. But here you have more time. You have 7 months and you're preparing and you're drawing and you have hat makers and dressmakers and fabric makers. Everything is being prepared by hand. So that's incredible challenge, but also incredible experience as a costume designer to have this ability to make everything, to think of it, create the ideas, and then make it happen. When I saw the movie on the screen, I was like, oh, it's so beautiful. It was like an amazing experience to have. It's those are
Mhm.
the dream jobs, really, truly. Those kind of are the dream jobs.
Mm. And when you first started, were there any expectations or things you imagined about this job that revealed to be untrue, or you had some surprises about it?
I mean, I think there is always in every career, it's the same. I think that I mean, I think you're so young when you start. I mean, do you know all your challenges? You don't. You're going to learn the challenges. You know, you
Hmm.
half of the time you don't. You think it is the way it is, but it's not. You know, everything changes, and I mean, with film, every project is different. There's different director. There's different actors. You know, I think that what's most important, you have to think on your feet. You have to problem solve. You know, you learn to do it quicker. You learn to trust yourself. You know, be
Hmm.
more confident in your decisions. So
And
I
with
think,
this
you know,
experience, sorry.
yeah, I think it's just, you know, it's hard to predict anything, really. You know, I think I don't think I have a perfect answer for this because it's like a flow, you know. I think
Hmm.
it's also as you're young, I was very open. I was like, I don't, everything is okay, you know, we're going to make it happen no matter what. I mean, that's kind of what film business is. I think any creative thing, you have to just trust the process. And, you know, as you're writing the article, as you creating a fashion piece, hopefully you have the right idea for the customer or who you're writing for, who I'm preparing the costumes for, you know, what is the story to support that the best I can. So that's where the focus kind of is, I think. And then there's always problems, and you have to just keep being very strong and solve the problems because in movie business everything is very fast, you know, so there's not a lot of time to be like, well, I don't know. You gotta answer, you know.
Hmm. And what would you say were the most important lessons you learned throughout these years of experience?
Many lessons, you know. I think the most important is to trust yourself in the sense of who you are as an artist, you know, work on yourself and you who you are as an artist. So that can be more and more your essence to bring into each project. So that's why you get hired because you have something to say, you have a signature. So people can be like, oh, let's get her. You know, I like the look she creates. Um, I think that's very important. You know, I think passion is very, very important. I think, you know, maybe people talk too much about it or not enough, but I think you have to be passionate about what you do because this is not an easy job. I have to get
Hmm.
up at 5 in the morning. I have to travel a lot. It's not a time you're going to have 5 o'clock dinner with your husband, you know. You may not see a lot of your children. So it's a very different kind of job. You live like a gypsy a little bit, you know. So I think being passionate enough to be like, okay, this is more important to me than anything, you know, like I love this. I'm gonna get up at 5. I'm gonna do it, you know, because I love it. So I think those are very important things. You know, I kind of learn, as we said before, to fight for the things and then let go of certain things. You know, I know better when it's like, okay, this is not worth it, you know.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, very important to have fun. You know, our jobs are stressful. It's a very stressful environment because it's very fast. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of personalities. So I think you have to kind of have, you know, certain kind of calmness to yourself and being able to deal with a lot that's happening, you know, at all times. Because as a costume designer, I'm not just like, oh, this skirt is so pretty. I have to deal with my whole department, which sometimes is 40 people, seamstresses, tailors, pattern makers, people on set. I have to deal with actors who may be in a bad mood sometimes. I have to deal with directors who may be in a bad mood sometimes or change their mind last minute, you know, like actor may say, oh, I love brown. And then day before we shooting or the day shooting, like, I hate brown today. Why are we wearing this brown shirt? I hate it, you know, and rip it up. I mean, I've things happen like crazy stuff. You know, so you have to be kind of, okay, all right, this is okay. We can handle this. You know, and it comes with, I think, more experience as you make many projects to know how to handle this stuff. You know, I have to deal with budgets. I am not only responsible how pretty things are, but how much something costs. If I'm over budget, you know, people are not going to hire me. Right now, it's all about money. You know, how much are you spending? How can you make this look for cheap? You know, um,
Yes.
so there's always challenges, but you know, I love what I do, and I think that the fun of it and kind of the creation that I can do on each project is more important to me than anything. You know, sometimes I don't care about the sleep. I rather just make something crazy and cool. You know.
And do you have some rituals or things you do to keep fueling this passion and inspiration on your own without falling into the trap or of overworking when things get hard?
It's hard. You know, it's very hard because you have to really remind yourself, hey, I didn't eat lunch today. I need to eat. Sometimes I tell my assistant, okay, make sure that, 6 hours I eat, because it's sometimes you go by the day and you're like, oh my God, it's 4 o'clock. I only had, toast for breakfast.
Hmm.
So you have to kind of really mentally be on this. It's important. It's very easy to get lost in the time and the pressure of everything. For me, meditation is a really big thing. I
Hmm.
try to really come back to myself by meditating, by being with myself, checking in. Am I too stressed? Do I have enough sleep? Where am I? And kind of also have a bigger picture of things, because we sometimes get so like, oh my God, this is so important. This is so important. You have to step away, and kind of see, okay, this is just a shirt. This is just a movie. You know, it's going to be okay. The pressure is very strong. So through meditation, for me, I can breathe. I can relax. I can go with my dog for a walk. I have a beautiful dog that travels with me, so it's great. I can go for dog walks, meet other people at a dog park. I love nature. Nature is a really big kind of soul soothing thing for me. I love flowers. I'm very lucky to live in LA, California. There's always sunshine. You can go to the beach, kind of find this like nature, whatever is the antidote for some people is gym, running or whatever it is. So it's different things for different people. But I think it's very important to have this ritual, something that you know that you do consistently that helps you pull yourself out. Because I think that if we don't, we get it's too much brain. And when you're writing, I'm sure you can feel this. Sometimes it's like a block.
Yes.
So you have to walk. You have to walk away. I think you have to kind of like, okay, I take a break. I look at something else, go inside or go to the gym, whatever it is, and then something changes, something kind of, allows you to open up.
Hmm.
So I think it's very important, and I think that also educating yourself and really like look at my books. I love the books. I love reading, knowing what's happening in fashion, kind of, also not being focused on one thing. I think as an artist, you have to kind of make sure that you're always open. Like you probably read a lot of magazine, you look at fashion, and you have to be inspired. I think that's very
Hmm.
important too. So finding the inspiration, going after it. Not saying, "Hey, I'm so bored." It's like, no, you have to go and find it.
Hmm. So you work in fashion, and do you like find inspiration outside of fashion-related things?
Of course, like I said, nature is beautiful for me. I mean, I look at flowers, I look at the colors, I look at people. I love going to events and talking to people, finding ideas, seeing on the street how they dress. It's everything around us. There's so much information that can be so useful, I think, because we are like investigators. I mean, I think as artists, you are like always listening and the
Mhm.
words and the stories, the same as I'm looking at the you know people, how they dress and what they, oh, this is so cool, I have to remember that. Sometimes I take pictures, and that's what's so fun. I mean, it's really kind of being aware of things, and feelings are important too. Like, how do you feel? What is this kind of memories? All of it is like so important, I think, as an artist, to draw from a lot of stuff, sometimes even unhappy things,
Mhm.
that may bring you something that in your writing or in my costume, or it's like, oh, it's very aged or it's very loose or whatever it is, because I remember when I was sad, I didn't change my clothes maybe for 3 days.
Mhm. Considering then that you take inspiration also from within yourself, is there a character whose wardrobe, in which whose wardrobe you feel reflected?
Well, I think that, it's interesting. It always is reflected. Every feeling of mine is reflected because it's me creating it. But for example, like Cher, when she's sad and she's walking around the fountain, there was a memory. I was sad about a boy, and I remember
Mhm.
that memory, and why we dress her in very kind of like gray tones and messy. The blouse was more messy, kind of not very perfect, like she always was so perfect, right? But now it's more like loose. unraveling in a sense. So, that feeling that I can put something that I experience into this character. So it's
Mhm.
fun, it's really, I think it's important to draw from yourself. I think in writing too, and how do you, express yourself? It's because to me, it's so important to express yourself, who you are as an artist in your art. So your writing can be very specific to you, your point
Yeah.
of view. Same for me. I'm known for color. I'm known for, very feminine things. So it's kind of my signature, how I create and how I visually tell the story by Mona May.
Mhm. For me, one film that I really loved was Romy and Michelle, because I loved the colorful dresses that each character had. One thing that kind of stuck with me was that the dresses did not seem too different, but yet they reflected each character. How are you able in that case to understand, okay, this character should have the red dress, whereas this character the blue dress?
Great question, because it's again like in the preparation when I sit with the director and I sit with the actor, we decide who these people are, what are they representing. And also we talk about very much of the color palette. Like in Romy and Michelle was very interesting because Lisa Kudrow, Michelle was the feminine. She was the designer. She was a little bit more flamboyant. So there was more pink, there
Mhm.
was more glitter, there was more jewelry, always accessories, right? As Mira Sorvino character, Romy, was much more kind of, she was the smart one in the relationship, right? A little bit more like masculine, right?
Mhm.
So there was more different colors for her. There was a lot of blue and burgundy and maybe less crazy accessories, kind of keeping her simple. When you think of the two suits when they wore when they went to the, I love those suits when they went to the
Yes.
reunion, you could see the difference. So, Rami is very straight, pinstripe. I think it was like an Armani type of jacket, and then more of a longer skirt, more masculine. And then Lisa has a more rounder neckline and kind of fitted and more skirt that's, short. So
Hmm.
again, always you have to stay in the line of the character and who they are and all the kind of rules that you have for each of the characters, color palette, shapes. And then you see the actor, maybe Miro's a little bit more like this and Lisa was a little bit more, feminine curves. So I think it's very important as a designer, and maybe it's even for fashion design to find who your client is, or in my case, who the actors are and who the characters are, and be very um, committed to what the look is. Because I think then through the film, you know who these guys are. I mean, there's a very interesting movie. I don't know if you saw it. It's called House Bunny.
Hmm. No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, check it out. It's very interesting. It's about seven girls in sorority house, and the main girl is Anna Faris. She's a comedian, and she plays a Playboy bunny that got kicked out of the Playboy mansion, and then she has to find a job, and she find these girls in a sorority house,
Hmm.
very like down and under. Nobody likes them. They kind of a little ugly. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna make a makeover here.
Okay.
And that was a very challenging job because it was seven girls and each one was so specific character. One was like a little
Hmm.
bit more punk rock, one was the smart one was a little bit each one had a very specific look, and they changed in the movie three different times. So they first you meet them kind of sad, right? Kind of not
Yes.
so pretty. Then they change into like Playboy bunnies kind of look. And then in the end, they change into themselves. It's kind of like in all my movie, the characters kind of find themselves and they become more authentic to themselves. And it's
Hmm.
such a crazy movie because it's seven girls. So I had to stay in a color palette, style palette, everything for each seven girls. It was so much work and so many clothes. And they also have like 30 changes each.
Hmm.
So check it out. It's very, very fun movie,
Absolutely.
and it's challenging in that way to keep, sometimes if you have three girls, okay, but seven girls, it was a lot. But they stayed. If you see it, different changes, they stay in their look, which is so cool. I love it.
Yes. Well, if we talk about the color palettes, we have to mention Cher and Dion color palettes because
Of
those are
course,
iconic.
of course, of course. And it's great because Cher, she was a blonde and she was very kind of preppy, very tailored, kind of, always matched everything. As Dion was very different. She had a darker skin tone. I mean, she was more funky. She had more experience with boys, so she was a little sexier. We had the leopard, we had the hats, there was vinyl, the skirts were much shorter. So it was very much of always their lane. They stay in their lane, but they also have to go together. So when they meet for the first day of school, the yellow and the black suits, every time you see the girls, they have to match in some way to look together on the screen very well. So it's interesting. There's a lot of components to think about.
And the iconic piece is, of course, the yellow suit.
Oh my
The
God,
story
so
behind
happy.
it.
Yes,
Yes.
and here we
I'm,
are. I love that it was so fun because I didn't know what color we're gonna wear for Alicia. We decided with Amy heckling that
Mhm.
we're gonna do the plaid suit because I wanted to be something first day of school, very, very special. And I was thinking Catholic girls' color uniform, plaid skirt, sweater vest, white shirt, but then what would Cher do? Of course, get something designer. So we also remember that we have to remember where the scene is taking place. It's outside. There's a lot of greenery. A lot of boys are, when she's pushing the boys away, as if
Yes.
no, she has to pop. And
Hmm.
we talked with Amy and Alicia, and we decided on a suit. I bring the beautiful blue one, which I thought she's going to look so beautiful with the blonde hair. I bring a red suit to the fitting because again, fitting is like the laboratory. That's when everything
Hmm.
happens. And when I was shopping, I saw this yellow suit. It was Jean Paul Gaultier Jr. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. But I was like, yellow? I mean, it doesn't really look good on a blonde. I don't know. But I get it. It was like speaking to me. So here we are in the fitting. Alicia Silverstone comes. She's 18 years old. She's walking with her sweatpants with two dogs because she's already an activist. She could care less
Yes.
about the fashion. She's like, oh my God, another fitting, Mona. And Amy is there, the director. We try the blue suit and it's beautiful, but it's not really just doesn't have this
Hmm.
pop. We tried the red one, and Amy Heckling was like, "Okay, we can't use it because it's the Christmas color palette. Because you know how we have the fall, beginning of school, then we have Christmas, and then we have spring wedding, different
Yes.
color palette in Clueless." So she was like, "No, no, no, no." And here comes the yellow, and Alicia puts it on, and it was so beautiful. In this moment when she put it on, it was like the ray of sunshine.
Yes,
It was like the
definitely.
queen bee. It was like she's here. I'm here. I'm the number one. I'm the queen of the school. So it's interesting, how it has to all come together, and you can kind of have the ideas in the meetings, like I talked about, and all the presentation. But in the moment of the fitting, this is when the actor tries the clothes on and becomes the character. And the moment Alicia puts the suit on, she's like, "Okay, I'm Cher. I like it." You know and it's very immediate. It's something you feel it in a fitting. It's almost like you have little goosebumps on the
Yes.
arm. Yeah. So there was it's a great story because I think for the costume designers out there, uh, you have to understand it's not just I think, oh, I'm gonna put Alicia in a yellow suit. It doesn't work that way. It's a process. It really is a process. Yeah. It's a creative process of figuring this out, what's right and what's the energy in it that's going to be right. And I think we hit it because now we are looking at the yellow plaid suit on my book. And when you think of Clueless, you think of the yellow plaid suit.
It's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all these behind the scene are something that we can find on the book, right?
Yes, it's so great. I interview everybody, I talk to everybody and get some funny stories too. Like I was talking to Paul Rudd, and he reminded me that when we were doing the fittings, we ended up using his own boots and jeans. And I was like, oh, I forgot about this. And he's like, yeah, you said my jeans were okay and my boots were okay. I was like, yeah, you were that guy. We just changed the t-shirts and shirts, but he was kind of that guy already. And it was his first movie ever.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. So many of the young actors in the film were like first time, studio movie. I mean, for me, it was first studio movie. I've done other work. I work with MTV. I mean, I met Emmy on a TV pilot,
Hmm.
um, but we were all very young. It was kind of a beginning for all of us careers.
When writing the book, how did it feel after all these years going back to the world of Clueless?
I never left the world of Clueless. I lived it all my life. I mean, 30 years. I love these characters. I mean, there were so many anniversaries, 25, now 30. I live with these characters. They in my soul, in a way. I mean, it's been great to finally put them together in a book, to have something to
Hmm.
share. I'm so happy. I think the best part was putting everything in one book, from the beginning of the movie, all the looks through the Christmas to the wedding. And now it's like history is here,
Yes.
the homage to all the characters and all the costumes is here in one place. And that's the most happy thing for me, that I'm able to now share this in this way, truly for people to be able to enjoy this so intimately and so fun. I hope this also really inspires people to wear fun clothes and look at their own wardrobe and see maybe they can do some more color or femininity or be inspired by the um, idea in the movies. So it's
Hmm.
it's really fun for me. It's really great. It's like the
About
legacy, giving the life yet again another life to these characters.
yes, and is it something that you can say? But do you have a favorite character yourself?
It's a hard question. It's like a mother. All my children are
Mhm.
equally loved, but I mean, Cher is the queen always. She'll be kind of remembered forever. But Stacey Dash is so fun. I mean, Amber is so cool in all her weird
Mhm.
clothes, and I love the journey of Ty, the character played by Brittany Murphy. How beautiful it was to meet her in one way and her
Mhm.
change through the film, the story of who she is. She becomes kind of mini me Cher, right? She's like a cheaper copy a little bit, not Chanel or Gaultier, but something she buy from the mall. And then she finds herself, who she is when she says, "You the virgin who can't drive." This is kind of very pivotal moment in a movie when she's now more sure of herself, who she is, and can be herself. So when you see her at the end at the skate park and she's wearing this striped t-shirt, like a cute little necklace and the pigtails, that she's kind of made a full circle to herself,
Mhm.
like really is now very authentic and I think has a lot of like self-worth and who she is, and it's beautiful. So it was a really nice character journey to show for her.
Mhm.
But I love the boys. I mean, Christian, hello. He was so hot. My little James Dean, character. Uh, so it's fun, it was such a great experience, and it was great working with Amy Heckling, an amazing director, all the actors. I mean, it was a really special time. It was also interesting reaching out to everybody for the interviews, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, hi, how are you? What's going on?" It was so good to kind of reconnect because it bonded us. That moment in our lives really bonded us because after the movie came out, we all became famous. I mean, everybody went to just have huge careers.
Mhm.
I got an agent, every script was sent to me, from Hollywood. It was beautiful, So I think we kind of like, oh my God, this was like this moment that we all blossomed.
Mhm. What's your favorite memories about working on the Clueless set?
Just how fun it was, exactly what I'm saying. Just being together with these young actors, everybody was just like, this is so much fun. We're having the best time, you
Mhm.
know, learning about movies and making movies, working with this great director, dressing up, teaching Alicia Silverstone how to dress and how to be a rich girl, and Stacey Dash having so much fun with her because she was already she comes from New York, so she was cool and hip, and like working with her was really interesting, and just having such a bonding time. It's something that I will never forget. One of those kind of memories that don't happen many times in your life, I think.
Mhm.
Very, very special time with everybody,
Their
and
first. the
And
inspiration
I
for.
think there's so much joy, and I think that's what in the book too. There's so much joy from all of us, and I think this you see it on the screen, you feel it.
Mhm. Therefore, the inspiration for the book was something that came quite recently, or was something that was always with you?
I've always wanted to make the book. It took many years, and I think this was like, okay, the 30th anniversary is here. It's time to do it now or
Yeah.
forget it. So I pitched it to Paramount, and they were very open. They were like, what a great idea. Let's do it. And it
Mhm.
took about a year and a half, to gather all the photographs from the Paramount archives,
Mhm.
interview everybody. I designed the book myself in the sense I wanted this special cover, with this tag.
Mhm.
Studio maybe wanted to put the girls. I was like, no, this is a very creative book. I want this to be something very inspiring, for people.
Yeah.
And also it's very identifiable. You can know what it is when you look at it in a bookstore, like, what is that? Um, so it was time, it was really like the moment everything came together. And I think it's great because also for you, young generation, it's still very, very relatable and fun movie and inspiring movie. So now we have all the generations
Yeah.
of women and fashionistas alike, and film goers.
Mhm. And what did you learn while assembling the book?
Well, the whole process, I've never made a book before, so it was so interesting, storytelling. And I really came up with the concept of do it in a way chronologically.
Hmm.
So open the book, you meet the characters, first day of school, and then you go to Christmas. I think it was kind of like I didn't want to make chapters about
Hmm.
different people. I wanted to be like, oh, I remember this. Oh, and then yes, and then this. So it was fun to uh, kind of create the concept, write it. I had a help with uh, like a co-author who helped me a little bit to figure this out because again it was my first time, but I didn't know how much work it was with the graphics. There was a lot of work trying to figure out each picture, which is more important picture, how big the picture, all the little details, because it represents my head, my idea, and my heart. And I want this to be on the page. I want this to be like it's truly me. You reading the Mona May book, not somebody write or somebody figure it out or whatever. I fight every day. I work for it so much. And it's a great experience to know because now I kind of the second one will be much easier to make.
But if there's going to be a second one,
Oh, I have to. I mean, Romeo and Michelle is coming up. We got to do one about Romeo and Michelle.
oh, definitely then.
Let's hope. We talk to the studio.
Mm. That's the one for Enchanted as well.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my
I mean,
God,
we'll be
that's so good.
watching for that.
Yes.
So, what do you hope people take from this book?
As I said, just fun, just enjoy, take something home, get off your phone, be inspired, visit the characters more intimately, hang out with them, have a glass of wine or tea, and just chill out with Paul Rudd.
Yeah. So, where we can find the book?
The book is on Amazon, and I think is distributed in Europe. So you can buy in some like probably
Mhm.
art, film, fashion bookstores. I know that it's in London for sure. It's in Milan, Berlin, but easy to get also on Amazon. It's not uh, a problem. And hopefully I can come to Italy, you guys, and sign some books.
Yes,
It'd be
we'll be
really
waiting.
fun.
And where we can find you?
You can find me on my Instagram, which is It's Mona May, ITSMONAMAY. And also go to my website, monamay.com. It's really cool. You can check out, there's a lot of process sketches and drawings. So if somebody's interested to kind of dive deeper into it, that'll be
Mhm.
really fun. And yeah, and get the book and, enjoy it and see the movie again.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, later I'll be seeing Clueless.
Fantastic. Fantastic. It's great to see it on the big screen. I've been, doing the book signings and events and seen a few times on the big screen. It is so lovely to
Hmm.
see the detail again and kind of, so much more of the colors that you can see on the big screen. It's really fun.
I
Hopefully
mean,
we can
the costume
create that.
designer, while you watch the film, you get to your head like all the memories.
Oh my God, it's
Flow.
crazy completely. Oh my God, and that day, and this was crazy, totally. Oh my God, I mean, we all, I think, as a writer, you probably read it like, oh, or, when I watch movie, I'm always watching for the details and costumes. But there's so much beautiful work. I'm watching a lot of movies for this year, and I just saw Frankenstein last night. It was a beautiful film. I mean, there's Hamnet, was just so beautiful. I saw Wicked, which is beautiful costume too by Paul Tazwell. I mean, there's just so much talent out there. Really, really incredible, incredible movies. There's a movie too with Jennifer Lopez that's really cool. Kiss of the Spider Woman. There's just beautiful
Mhm.
costume they created. So yeah, there's a lot of beautiful films out there to check it out this year. Yeah, I hope everybody enjoys.
Good. Well, to finish off, my last question would be, what has fashion taught you about yourself?
To be myself, to really express myself. I'm just kind of this girl today. I have a jumpsuit, the hat. I'm more funky. I really I think my clothes express who I am always. I'm
Mhm.
always colorful. I have fun with clothes. I'm always trying to be comfortable because I'm working and doing stuff. I'm always very active. So I think you have to take from fashion what's right for you, for your body shape, for your mental state, how you inspire yourself in the morning, maybe to put the mood a little better. You're feeling sad, maybe put something red. So I think it's many things that clothes can do for you. And I love fashion so much. I love watching the designers. I mean, it's so interesting now. Everything is changing in fashion with technology. Different designers go to different houses. How do they create the new ideas? But then I think in the end, you have to really filter it through yourself. Who are you? You don't want to be a fashion victim.
Yes.
You want to inspire people with who you are. So I think having your own style, your personality through the fashion is kind of the best because it's a great advertising too. Like if I
Mhm.
if I go to interviews or meet actors and or directors, I look cool. It's like, oh, she's cool. I like her. Maybe I think she would have a good ideas. So that also is kind of representation of you, I think. Especially if
Mhm.
I think especially if you're an artist. It's different maybe if you're a banker.
Yeah.
But I think
Still, you have to be able to express yourself through your clothes.
I think so. And it's fun. I love it. You know,
Mhm.
I have many personalities.
That's great. I mean, many personalities equals many clothes. So
Yes.
can't be wrong.
Yes. Great.
Thank you so much for
Good.
giving us the time for this interview.
So very happy to do this. So nice to meet you, Rebecca. And let's stay in touch.
Nice to
See
meet